Hey everyone, this is going to be a full advanced guide on how to beat Gorecrusher the Behemoth as a solo, who is the third last boss currently in the game and also probably one of the hardest bosses. So in this video, I'll be covering his location, good builds to use for killing him, his mechanics and how you play around them, and then lastly, his rewards. Now a quick note, if you're with a group, you can still use this guide as it will basically be the same, except for basically just has more summons to deal with. Now real quickly before this video starts, courtesy of Stunlock Studios, I'm giving away a copy of this game. To enter in the giveaway, just head over to my Discord, which link is in the description, and you can go to the giveaways channel there that has all the information, or just follow the giveaway link in the description. Second, there are other ways of doing this boss that are actually easier than what I'm going to outline in this guide, but I'm not going to cover them because they are sort of stat specific, meaning you either need like the max tier gear to be able to do it effectively, or you need high percentage of certain types of blood to be able to do it. So instead I'm going to cover a method where you can basically do it no matter what. The Behemoth is found in the Cursed Forest towards the northeast of the map, inside the lair of the Behemoth. Now just a note about this location, it is inside of a cave, so you can fight him during daytime, no problem. So looking at our build, starting with the weapon, we're going to be using the crossbow and slasher duo weapon setup. In my opinion, this is the easiest weapon setup for him, but you definitely don't need to follow this exactly. So for the main weapon crossbow, you can use whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the crossbow. However, just know that the later phases, we're going to have to be using the slasher's E ability, so you won't have access to your main weapon's E, which is why I think using the crossbow is the easiest. Also, you can do it with only slashers just fine. If you don't want to have to make another weapon, it will pretty much be the exact same but slower, so slightly harder as it gives you more time to make mistakes. You can also do it with no slasher backup if you're really confident, but that makes things much harder towards the end, so I wouldn't suggest it. For our abilities, you want one strong defensive counter and then one big DPS spell. So for the counter, I would suggest anything but Ward of the Damned, the shield that summons skeletons, as the Behemoth does have summoning that is unpredictable. So if you use Ward of the Damned and it summons a skeleton and then he summons right after, you're going to have to deal with double the amount of summons, or maybe even more, depending on how many skeletons you made. So it's safer to go with one of the other shields like the Chaos Shield or the Ice Shield, or even the basic starter counter works just fine. For your DPS ability, I would highly suggest Chaos Volley, as it is by far the highest DPS right now, and as you will see, high DPS gets really important towards the end of the fight. A lot of people like Sanguine Coil as it helps you sustain, but I would suggest against it as you do need slightly more DPS than that. For your space or movement ability, it doesn't matter too much. I like to use the blood one as I'm not using any other healing in the build, so it helps you sustain up a little bit through any mistakes you make, although if you're planning to use potions especially, you can switch to some other one like the frost one or the unholy one, are both pretty good. For your ultimate ability, there's no particularly amazing or needed ult for Gorecrusher the Behemoth. Really, any AoE ult is pretty helpful. I like Heart Strike, although Mirror Strike can also be quite good. The Behemoth starts out with 4 different attacks and gains more attacks as you get them to lower HP. So starting off, he has a basic melee attack, which is his 2 swipes, one going in each direction. He also has a charge where he charges forward a short distance, flipping anything he hits up and stunning it. Next, he has a large AoE slam in front of him that does damage and as well creates lines outward from the blast that erupt after a short delay. And lastly, for his basic abilities, he has a 3-hit stunning combo. So after he yells, he will glow a certain color, and then he will punch one to the left of him, one to the right of him, and then one straight forward ahead of him. All of these will do damage and stun. Now, these 4 moves are all easily enough dealt with, so I'm going to skip ahead to when he gets his 5th ability at around 90% HP. After he reaches around 90% HP, he will add another move where he jumps at you with a large AoE landing point, dealing damage and knocking back / stunning slightly. So this 5th ability is the one that dictates the fight. You will consistently use it whenever you get a decent gap on him, which basically means if you space away from him, you're going to gap him, and so he's going to jump on you. Problem is, you need your space to dodge the jump. Nothing else will let you dodge it consistently, so you need to fight him without ever using your space, instead saving it for pretty much only when he jumps on you. The way that you do this is to try to not do too much. Just let him use a move, counter it by moving or shielding, then counterattack, and then go back to waiting for him to use a move again. The best example and most important one is his big AoE slam. You can walk out of this move if you are moving as he casts it, but if you're stuck in a cast animation or something, it will catch you and force you to space, which then forces you to get jumped on and take damage. So you want to just walk away from him at pretty much all times, but especially when he gets close. Once he uses an ability, counter it. If it's the big AoE slam, keep walking. If it's any of the punches or the horn flip, shield yourself backwards or sidestep if you're really confident. One thing to note about this, if he's doing the 3-punch stun combo, don't shield early. It won't last quite long enough if you do it early, but if you do it just as the first punch is landing, then it will last long enough, allowing you to pretty much get out without having to use your space. If you ever make a mistake during this forced portion of the fight, like you use your space on his AoE slam or his punches, swap to your slashers, go to stealth, and then go to the opposite side of the arena as him. It should give you enough time to buy for your defensives like your space to come back up again. At around 80% HP, he adds another move, which is another charge type move, so he'll glow a little bit and then charge at you. It's a much longer charge than the horn flip one, and he will charge 3 times in succession. Once he adds this move in, it's basically the same playstyle, except for the triple charge, you want to go stealth when you can. So the easiest way to do it is to shield the first charge and then to instantly go stealth afterwards. This will make it so he doesn't do the rest of the charges, which you really don't have any good way of dealing with. At around 60% HP, he adds yet another move where he will jump back away from you. He will then yowl and glow, summoning a bear and a wolf for each enemy player. During the summoning and for some time after, he becomes immune, unable to take any damage. After that short period of being immune, he comes out and charges at you, smacking once, repeating this for each player. So for this ability, it's basically kill the summons as fast as you can. I like to go for the wolf first and try to kill it before he comes back, as it's harder to deal with and also squishier, and then basically just kite around both the bear and the behemoth while focusing on killing the bear. After you killed the summons, you can just move back to focusing the behemoth. Just make sure you remember to shield after he comes out, as he will come running very fast and try to punch you after he ends that sort of invulnerable channel. If you want to and have a little bit lower DPS, you can use your first ult here, but generally we're going to want to save it for pretty much the very end of the fight. If you're doing it as a team though, I would suggest probably using 1 ult for every summoning phase. At around 40% HP, he adds a new move where he channels in place while glowing in a ghosty form, which summons a bunch of orbs that float around the arena. If you come in contact with one of these orbs, they will deal damage to you. This move is usually just a nice way to deal damage to him while he channels, but if he does it at the center, it can be a little bit problematic. Again, though your playstyle doesn't really change, just try to dodge the orbs, as they do a lot of damage and debuff you if you come into contact with them. So kite the behemoth around it, doing the same things as you were doing earlier. Now you just have to sort of dodge orbs as they move around the arena. At around 25 to 30% HP, he gets his last move, and this is really where the fight begins for a solo player. If you have struggled up to this point, it's very unlikely you'll be able to finish him on that attempt. Basically, he makes a copy of himself that uses some of his moves, so you start having to fight 2 of them at once. The ghost copy uses his charge moves, so the horn flip and the triple charge, as well as both melee attacks. So it doesn't jump or do the big AoE slam, which is very nice, but is still very difficult to deal with both of them at once. The ghost behemoth has significantly less max HP than the real behemoth, but if you kill the ghost, it will channel and then revive with around half HP, so you have to deal with 2 of them for the rest of the fight. Personally, I like to focus on the real behemoth as much as possible, but still, if you can do damage to the ghost behemoth, do it, as the revive time on the ghost behemoth allows for pretty good damage on the real one. Basically, the way to beat this stage and towards the end of the fight is you have to rotate your defensives really well and just do damage as you can in between them. Kite them around the arena, shield the charge moves and the melee ones from the clones, space to dodge the jump from the real one. There will definitely be a lot of cases where you have to be using your space on something else, so a lot of the time it's using your shield and then your space, and then just going slasher invis and waiting for as long as you can to get the refreshes on your defense abilities, getting a few offensive spells off, and then having to use your defensives all over again. The real Behemoth will continue to do all of his normal moves he has, so if he uses the Spirit Bomb Orb thing, just make sure you're watching the clone and do as much damage as you possibly can to him during that, as it's a really good time to get damage off. And if he uses the summoning, it starts getting really difficult, so try to do as much damage to the summons or the ghost clone when he's in that invulnerability state, and then group them together and ult them all to hopefully deal as much damage as possible. Really, especially once he summons both the wolf, the bear, and his clone is out, it really just becomes a super mechanically difficult fight. There's not a lot of whole strategy I can give you here. Just make sure you're rotating defensives really well, getting all the damage you can when available, and using stealth as soon as you are out of defensives. You're going to have to do a lot of good dodging, a lot of good kiting, and getting damage on the Behemoth whenever you possibly can. So that's basically the rest of the fight. Kite them around, go invis when you're out of space and they're coming for you, and do as much damage as you can back to them, focusing on the real Behemoth. For rewards, Gorecrusher the Behemoth gives you the ability Wisp Dance, which summons 3 wisps that circle around you, dealing 25% magic damage. You can recast this ability to launch all 3 wisps as projectiles, dealing 50% magic damage and weakening the target by 30% for 5 seconds. If you are on a PvE server with unlimited shards, or the first person to kill the Behemoth in a PvP world, you get a unique drop called the Shard of the Behemoth, which you can place in your base as a sort of structure, which can grant a 2-hour long buff, giving you 50 increased resistances to Holy and Garlic, 5% move speed, and 20% increased resource yield. If you want more information on these shards, check out the World First Boss Kills video that I did earlier on this channel. Okay, so that's basically it. Everything you need to know to beat the Behemoth as a solo player. If you need some extra help, the rest of this video will be a full unedited VOD of the fight I did with him, where I will basically give some play-by-play so you know what I'm thinking or looking for when I fight him. So starting off with this boss fight, I think the main thing people do wrong is just to not... They try to do too much, right? Just walk away from him. You can see I'm walking away from him. I know that's not going to connect with me, so I don't do anything, and I keep walking away. And once he uses that move, now I know I can get a little bit of damage back on him. Again, I do a little bit of damage, keep walking away. Here, I use shield too early, which forces me to space there, and then I get jumped on. I got my slashers off late there, so that was a mistake there. I should have used my shield later on that 3-hit slam, so I wouldn't be forced to space, and then after I spaced, I did make that mistake. I again made another mistake by not instantly going to my slasher E. This time it's much better. You can see the barrier just lasts long enough if you do it right before he hits that first slam on you. This stealth is not really needed, but I might as well be safe and do it when you're ever in doubt. You really don't want to take any real damage on this first phase, because any damage that you take, you're pretty much guaranteed to take damage once he summons the clone at the end, so you want to just avoid as much damage as possible, which is partly why I use the blood space to heal up a little bit when I make mistakes on this first one. There's this first triple charge. Again, very simple shield and then instant stealth, gives you plenty of separation and allows you to reset pretty quickly off of it. Shield to be safe there, wasn't needed. Really, this is the main thing you're going to have to use too, is walking away from the big AoE slam and then spacing the jump. That is like 50% of the first part of the fight, at least. Probably more. Again, charging, I completely messed up that shield, and then trying to get a shield on the second one. Got a little bit greedy there. Forces me to use my space after, so don't get greedy like that. Just, if you make a mistake, just go slasher stealth. Here's the first summon phase, jumps back to the summon. I like to go for the wolf first. I think it's much easier. Just pretty much you can use all your abilities on it, as they'll come back by the time he respawns. Unfortunately I missed that E when I have to use another Q on this thing, but it's not a big problem. This is nice. Bear pretty much always slams and autos, so I set it up so I can shield both the bear's auto and Gorecrusher's auto, which is, or his charging hit, which is very nice. And then it's just back to normal. Shield, stealth, and again. See how easy that is to get a good amount of separation on him, and then I can do lots of damage while he walks back towards me. Usually you don't want to use Chaos Volley like that. Usually I'd wait until after he jumps, because you can see there I had to basically hit none of them and cancel it due to him jumping on me. There was a mistake. I should have shielded that charge, but instead I spaced it. And then I thought I had enough room so he wouldn't jump on me, so I didn't go Slasher E just yet, but he did jump on me. So again, I got greedy and took more damage than I needed to there. I could have just gone Slasher Stealth E, and it would have been no problem. Now the summoning phase. It's pretty lucky that he summoned orbs into the summon, which makes this a little bit easier because I can just kill the summons at the other side. Shielding that was a very bad idea. I know instantly that that was a mistake because he's going to charge at me, meaning I have to space this hit and then instantly go Slasher E. Luckily he uses a 3-hit slam, so I know I have a little bit of time before I have to go stealth here. Another orb phase, so another great opportunity to deal damage to him, and he's getting pretty low, so he's probably gonna summon his clone right there. And now things get a little bit crazy. So there I used my space on his jump, and I was hoping I could shield both of their attacks, but he used the one that I couldn't shield, and I was just at the end of it, so that was a little unfortunate. But again, I got a little bit greedy, same thing, and took a little bit of damage. Defenses are down. I already didn't have my space there, so I can just stealth out of there, buy some time for space to come up. That was an unfortunate situation where the clone did a move that I wanted to shield, and then he did the jump right after, so I had to space it out of my shield, meaning both my defenses are down. But again, if both of your defenses are down and you have your Slasher E available, you can just do what I did there, go stealth and buy some time. Here, I'm watching the clone while doing as much damage as I can to him. Luckily, the clone didn't use anything on me, so I was able to do like max damage to him while he was channeling there. Again, wrong response there. I definitely should have spaced instead of shielded. And then I'm forced to space on that instead. Luckily, again, he does the 3-hit combo, which buys me a little bit more time to do damage to him. You can see clone is reviving now, so it's basically just things as normal. I get greedy because the clone is down and use my space. Luckily, I don't get hit by that. That's like very rare to be able to not get hit by that just by walking. And then I didn't have stuff up, so I went stealth. Again, used my defensives, so normally I'd go stealth here, but he summoned, so I don't have to go stealth anymore. I just try to kill as much as I can while he's in that invulnerable state. And then I'm going to set it up. I know that they're both, the clone is going to revive and he's going to come up soon, so I try to pull things together so I can ult them all at once. Shielding that. Unfortunately, I don't do this particularly well, but I still get a pretty good amount of damage on them with the ult, which is enough to finish him off with the next Chaos Volley. Anyways, I hope this video helped you get your kill on Gorecrusher the Behemoth. If it did, let me know, and make sure to subscribe for other guides like this on more difficult bosses.